This day in sports history.
Hey, I'm golf broadcaster Matt Adams. The updated and expanded second edition of my book, The Golf Round I'll Never Forget, Golf's Biggest Stars Recall Their Finest Moments, is now available. Readers can expect to march with Arnie's Army at the 1960 U.S. Open, relive Jack Nicklaus's remarkable 1986 Masters win, and be amazed by the Tiger Slam. The Golf Round I'll Never Forget, Golf's Biggest Stars Recall Their Finest Moments. Pick it up where fine books are sold, including BarnesandNoble.com and Amazon.com.
It's another in a long line of This Day in Sports History episodes. This dish is a proud member of the Sports History Network. You can find more podcasts and more info at sportshistorynetwork.com. It's September 19th, and on this day in 1998, it was the largest crowd to watch a college football game in the South at the time. And the game lived up to every bit of the hype. The number 2 Florida Gators traveled to Knoxville, Tennessee to take on the number 6 Tennessee Volunteers. The Gators had won 5 straight in their rivalry with the Vols, and there was no reason to expect anything to change. It wasn't that Florida was supposed to be so much better, but Tennessee had waved goodbye to Peyton Manning, wide receiver Marcus Nash, and linebacker Leonard Little, who had all been taken in the spring NFL draft. This was supposed to be a bit of a step back and regroup kind of year for Tennessee. 107,653 was the official attendance on this day, and outside of Ann Arbor, it was the biggest crowd to watch a college football game. T. Martin was the new Tennessee quarterback, and he had not exactly inspired confidence in Vols fans after his first start the week before against number 17 Syracuse. Sure, the Vols won on a last-second kick by Jeff Hall, and Martin had led Tennessee on that final drive into field goal range, but he had only completed 9 of 26 passes for 143 yards against the Orange. Those were not Peyton Manning numbers. And could the Volunteer defense stop anybody? Q's QB Donovan McNabb had diced up their secondary with 300 yards passing. Vols fans were outwardly confident, but inwardly wondering what was going to happen when the Gators rolled into Neyland Stadium on this day. The Gators looked like they were going to punch the ball in the end zone on their opening drive, but a Florida fumble on the goal line and a Volunteer recovery snuffed that drive. That was a shadow of things to come for the Gators. Down 3-0, Tennessee fullback Sean Bryson found daylight between the tackles, and he ran 57 yards untouched for the first touchdown of the game. The crowd got loud. So loud, in fact, that there were a few in UT's Body Farm complaining about the noise. On the next drive, wide receiver Travis Taylor caught a Doug Johnson pass, but got stripped for the second Gator fumble recovered by Tennessee on the day. Florida was going with an alternating quarterback scheme on the day, with Jesse Palmer and Johnson going back and forth. That may have led to some issues when Johnson was clocked in the backfield and coughed up the third fumble of the first half that Tennessee recovered with 9 minutes left in the second quarter. The Gators put a touchdown on the board with 20 seconds left in the half to tie it up as the teams went to the locker room. Now tied at 17 with time ticking down in the third quarter, Gator receiver Travis McGriff coughed it up for the fourth time on the day, giving the ball back to Tennessee. It would stay 17-all to the end of regulation. Tennessee got the ball first in overtime, but seemed to go nowhere but backward until a third down play by T. Martin put them back in field goal range. A Jeff Hall field goal put them up 20-17. Florida stayed with its alternating quarterback scheme and just didn't move the football much. Gator kicker Collins Cooper came on to tie it up, but his kick was shanked wide left, and Tennessee had broken the streak with a 20-17 win. Now, in no way was this the Vols offense winning this game, after racking up only 235 yards of total offense and going 2 for 13 on third down conversions. Instead, Tennessee linebacker Al Wilson was a one-man wrecking crew, causing 3 of the Gators' 5 turnovers on the day, and the defense simply stuffed the run. The Gators had negative 13 yards on 30 carries. It was a mob scene at Neyland after this one. The goalposts came down, and CBS even had a couple of cameras swiped in the melee. Tennessee went on to win the remainder of their games, going 13-0 and winning the national championship in January. In 1965, the NFL felt it necessary to add another official to the crew, and it was really because of one man. So a couple of days ago, I talked about the new rule established back in 1933 that a legal forward pass had to only be made behind the line of scrimmage. Before, it had been 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and that was dubbed the Bronco-Nagurski rule. Well, on this day, they might as well have called the addition of a linesman official the Fran Tarkenton official, because it was the Minnesota quarterback's ability to scramble and then throw the football late that made this a necessity. The linesman was the 5th official added to the crew. Now there's 7. And one of the big reasons that this referee was added was to make sure that quarterbacks were not running beyond the line of scrimmage and then attempting a pass. On this day in 1959, the golf world was introduced to Jack Nicklaus. The 19-year-old was just a junior at Ohio State at this point, but he managed to capture the U.S. amateur title on this day. Nicklaus was going head-to-head with defending champ Charlie Coe. This was a tight match throughout, with the pair all square coming to the 36th hole. Coe had a chance to put some additional pressure on the Buckeye, but his chip from the fringe came up a little bit short, and that left Nicklaus with an 8-foot birdie putt to win, and he drained it. At 19 years, 8 months, he was the second youngest winner of the event, just 3 months older than Robert Gardner when he'd won it in 1909. Of course, Tiger Woods would break that mark 35 years later as an 18-year-old. And time now for today's nothing to do with sports fun fact. In Switzerland, it is illegal to own only one guinea pig. Aw, every guinea pig needs a little buddy. That's all I've got for you today. This and every episode of This Day in Sports History is researched, written, voiced, and produced by me, Steve White. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for another edition of This Day in Sports History. This has been an original Thrive Suite production.